Just ask them where Bazball went. It's disappeared. We can't see it. Sorry, we're live. Bazball, apparently that's doom and gloom for all you English fans joining us right now. But for Indian fans joining us, hit the like button straight away in this cricket.com match review because we have annihilated them, dismantled them, absolutely put them in their place. And look, they've dominated us for years. I'm not even talking about political history here. I'm talking about cricketing history way back, but now India have absolutely given it to England in half. 434-run defeat for England, which is their biggest away defeat in tests. My name is Avni Shakti. You have Gurkirat and Nikhil joining us right now, and it has been a dark day for English cricket. Ben Stokes losing back-to-back tests for the first time since I think that Ashes in 2023 is what my producer tells me. But Gurkirat, you're sipping that tea, even though it is not the best thing to drink after a game like this. It must feel really good as an Indian fan.
It feels good, and there is no good time to have tea. Tea is like an emotion. You should have it whenever you feel like. So it's pretty much that when it comes to having tea. But yeah, good day for an Indian fan, and the margin will probably not tell it, but there were probably moments where you felt that the game could get out of India's hand. And this is a very, very good win. It's a pretty holistic and a comprehensive win. And you could say it is a complete performance, barring a session and a half on day two. Otherwise, it's been a very good performance, and it has come on the back of at least half of the first 11 missing, if not more. So, a lot of positives, and this win should really take some pressure out of the shoulders of Rohit and Dravid, because now they have some confidence in some players. And yeah, very, very good win. And it was very good to see how India finally managed to bat England out of the game. I mean, England can talk that they can chase 600 or whatever, but a target of 550 or above that, more 99% of times of the chance you don't lose. And that is one thing that we had alluded to, that Indian batters are not taking that chance where they can really bat the opposition out of the game. Today they did it, and they did it in some style. It was very good to see.
Absolutely, and it's India's biggest win in terms of runs, guys. So really like this video for that fact, and there's so many more great stats. Nikhil, I want to get to you right now. And it just makes you think, right? That opening morning where 33 for 3, backs against the wall, and then to pull off a 434-run win, that speaks volumes.
Tremendous. I think Padi said it rightly. Probably one of the best test wins I think Rohit will feel in terms of how it looked like. And I feel, again, I don't want to single out, but I feel the two most crucial moments in this test involved Joe Root. The first is him dropping Rohit at slip when he was in 27, allowed Rohit and Jadeja to forge a very good stand. And then on the day 3 morning, when you feel England could bat India out of the game, it's that scoop. And again, there are more such crucial moments, but I think probably this encapsulates how England gave India a chance, and India did not really give them up from that moment of time where you got Root, and then you really India just kept coming at England. And that's probably the best way to, as Padi said, give confidence to a lot of people that we belong at this level, and we can not just beat you, we can hammer you by a margin of 434. Now, Ben Duckett can come and say that, they wanted to give a tribute to the highest ODI score chased. So we wanted to lose by that margin because they will spin it somewhere, for sure.
No, 100%. And Gukirat, if I told you this, or Nick, or any of us watching and listening to this review right now, that India are going to win any test against this Bazball team by 434 runs with Sarfraz, who else was in the slip cordon? Gill, there was Patidar as well, and Dhruv Jurel keeping, you would have just said, joke mar raha kya? But it's happened, bro. It's honestly happened.
I mean, I could have said that you're joking even if India had the full strength side, because 434 runs is a huge, huge margin. It's almost like a double inning defeat. You are forced to follow on if you have a lead of 199. This is twice that. So it's a very good win. And like I said, it will give India a lot of confidence. It will also, give fans a lot of confidence because of just the way the Indian team came back. Because late night on second day, you felt like India couldn't be in real trouble. So from there, the way the bounce back happened. And even today, the first 6-7 overs that India bowled, which was before tea, you could see that India did not concede as many runs. I mean, this was probably the most economical opening spell that India had, because otherwise Duckett and Crawley were, more or less taking runs with the new ball spell. So India kept improving, and it's a good sign that they have finally learned something from the things that were not working out for them. So very, very good signs going into the next two test matches.
And good signs with regards to finding and unearthing talents. We saw Sarfaraz and Dhruv have memorable debuts, but of course, we're just living in the world of Yashasvi Jaiswal. That boy can do no wrong. They say the boy can play, the boy can punish, and more than that in our first segment in this review, in the Showstopper. Where do we start with this boy? It is absolutely sensational. They say, yes, he's from Mumbai and he loves his appetite for runs. That's, of course, proved because there's no other batter in terms of the Indian history who've got back-to-back double hundreds in terms of back-to-back tests. Kohli and Kamli, the others, and Jaiswal again is 214 today. And some of the shots that he played, it was honestly taking the piss out of the England bowlers. Anderson backing for 3 6s back to back. I think even Jimmy Anderson literally kind of invisibly tipped his hat to Jaiswal, saying, "You know what, mate, it's just your test, so savor it, enjoy it." And what a innings! I mean, it'll go down in Test cricket folklore this, because he's a youngster. He's already got 2 double tons, and that's fantastic. 545 runs he's notched up already in this series, and there's 2 more tests. And now there's only Sunil Gavaskar's record way back in the day against the West Indies that he can really target right now. And there's so much talk about Jaiswal, and we'll get into it. But before that, let me just reflect what he did in that second innings. Remember, there was a back spasm. He had to retire, come back fresh, and boy, did he come back with some authority. 214, but the telling fact or number there is 12 sixes, which is a joint record with Wasim Akram and his innings against Zimbabwe in Sheikhpura 99-6. So that is Test cricket history right in front of our eyes. 12 sixes in a Test innings has never been done before. The last time an Indian batter did that was Navjot Singh Sidhu with 8 sixes, and he surpassed it. And how everyone was hoping for that 13th, it wasn't to be. But guys, I've had my say in Jaiswal. Nikhil, I'll start with you here. We're running out of adjectives, and he's just, 5-6 tests in? What is the ceiling for Jaiswal, man? Because he's honestly put a smile across the nation. And Nikhil's on mute for the first time, is he?
He's not on mute. But
Just choppy Wi-Fi.
we can't hear him. He's definitely not on mute.
Okay, we'll come back to Nikhil in just a bit. Let him try sorting that out. Googly, that similar question to you. And when I just say Jaiswal right now, what's the first thing which pops up in your head?
One is the appetite for runs, and the other is range. Whenever we've spoke of Jaiswal, especially in limited overs, I've talked about how he has very good range in terms of especially hitting behind the wicket, a square of the wicket on both sides. And one is you just time the ball square on the offside. He also finds a way to power it very well. And when a lot of selection debates were happening, there was an opinion, which was doing the rounds, that okay, the quality of Ranji Trophy is not as good to just take those numbers, and take them as gospel. You also have to try out these players at the India A level, which is somewhat understandable, and there is some merit in it. But what these numbers which Jaiswal and Sarfaraz have is they prove that if you get in, you at least have the appetite to score big runs. Now, if I'm not wrong, Jaiswal was averaging more than 75 in Ranji Trophy. We've seen how Sarfaraz, was also averaging more than 80 plus, and that's what Jaiswal has showed in his last 200s. He's not just settled after 100. He's had the hunger to go for the double, on both occasions. So that means that he's that one kind of a player that if he gets in, he will ensure that as much as what he can do, he'll make sure that the team gets to a decent target. And yeah, brilliant acceleration. We spoke about it last evening as well, and today also. Just identified the pulse of the game and pulse of the moment, and just made sure that England have literally nowhere to hide.
Absolutely, and we'll just reflect some of the quotes that he said before we get Nikhil's thoughts right now, because Jaiswal is not the man of the match. It's actually Ravindra Jadeja, and the broadcasters have just announced it. We'll speak about Jadeja, we'll speak about Dhruv Jurel, like you guys are reiterating in the comments as well. But Jaiswal just had this to say, if you guys missed it, and I quote, "I'm just trying to make it big whenever I'm set. In Test cricket, you never know. I'm just trying to play as long as I can when I'm set. It was pretty difficult. Initially, I was not getting runs, so I had to play the session and play the bowler. Then when I got set, I could score the runs." And he finished up by saying, all my seniors have said that when you're set, make it big and make it count. The way Rohit and Jaddu played in the first innings, they really inspired me. But look, he's going to be modest, but let's, of course, try to get Nikhil's thoughts right now on Jaiswal. And Nikhil, I hope you're audible for starters. But again, Jaiswal, sensational, man.
Jaiswal, am I, am I audible? Okay, great. That was a good way to go. No, I think the quote sums it up as well, right? How clear in his mind he is about what he wants to do, and then to be able to execute it under pressure. This wasn't a game where it was easy. There are games and decks where you feel that you can come in, play around, get a big score. This wasn't a game like that. He had to play out phases. We discussed this yesterday. Paji touched upon it just a while back. It's the clarity of thought, and I wouldn't say it's the traditional way of batting. Now, we have been debating a lot about which is the best way to play cricket. Jaiswal is just shown that's how most of Indian batters and traditional batters have gone about it. Play the phase, get yourself in, and then those 12 sixes, those are byproducts. Those are byproduct of you being there, very set, and making them bold. Those 3 sixes of James Anderson, there is nobody who wouldn't have enjoyed that, smacking. And for a very young guy to do it so early in his test career, it is always pleasing. So you asked about the ceiling for him. I think it's big hundreds. I think that is probably the biggest positive for me in terms of Jaiswal. You want to see these big hundreds from him.
Yeah, Jaiswal is just honestly brilliant. He's just 22 years and 52 days today. So you can tell that he has, dare I say, touched wood, 15 years maybe left in his international career. And it's only going to get better for Jaiswal. And what a story he's had. And he's just making it better. And remember, Nikhil just spoke about how he carved Anderson out. Just to put some numbers to it, he faced 21 balls of Anderson in the second innings. And he's got 46 runs off the England legendary bowler in 21 balls, 4 fours and 4 sixes of just Anderson. So you could see the damage being done over there. More comments to take, and we'll, of course, just reflect a few before I get Gurkia's thoughts about a whole host of other things. There is the presentation going on right now, so you guys might chip in with what Rohit had to say, what Ben Stokes had to say. I know that he's already praised Duckett's innings, Stokes, but I'm sure there'll be some quotes about how India went about their business. Sanjay Papyagiri, good to see you. Waiting for the day when Pant and Jaiswal bat together. It was brilliant. We saw a little bit of Sarfaraz and Jaiswal batting together, and it was brilliant to the eye, both them taking on spin. And Ravi Shastri said it on commentary that this is how Indian players should play spin with regards to just coming down the track, literally maneuvering their wrist, employing the sweep and reverse sweep as much as possible. And Sarfaraz, in his first test, looked like he's been playing test cricket for over 50 games right now, which is absolutely brilliant. More comments to take. Pranav saying, so is it safe to say Indian spinners plan A versus most England batters now as off-stump outside off-stump line to start with is to cover for the sweep? Will it work on black soil, Ranchi surface? Very good question. I'll give it a good kirat in the fag end of the show. We'll take all your beautiful questions for sure, because today is a day to remember. Brilliant from Jaiswal saying, Mohammad Aran, good to see you, Mohammad. And he goes on to add, boys, but I was more impressed with the debutants. Jurel and Sarfraz took to test cricket like a fish to water, duck to water, whatever you want to say. And Prajwala Benur saying, Rohit captained really well in this test. And let's be fair, we kind of criticize players, captains here on this platform. But look, we're very quick to dish out appreciation as well when we see it. So well done, Rohit and Team India. And we're not just saying that in the benefit of hindsight, but we're generally saying that right now. Keep your comments coming through, because there's so much more to still digest and dissect with these guys going ahead. Right. So let's again start chronologically, because the first thoughts itself was 15 minutes. And India, obviously, you guys said that they shouldn't do anything funky and just bat. And that's exactly what they did. But what was the real catalyst? Was that partnership something that not just gave us a glimpse into the future, Gurkirat, but also told us that here are two hungry blokes who can really, on their day, make any bowling attack look shit?
Did not happen.
Not I.
it's something that we expected of them, given how big they have scored. And with Yashasvi, we have even seen it at the international level that on his day he can really get going. I'm still not, going to give any judgments on Sarfaraz because it's a good start, but we've seen many cricketers who start off well, but they're not able to back it up. What I've absolutely loved about Sarfaraz is his game against spin, and I said it on day one itself that just the way he was sweeping was so good to see, because you almost don't expect Indian batters to sweep that much. They are more reliant on using their feet coming down the track or going back, but not use the sweep that much. For me, there was one very important aspect of this innings was that Shubman Gill, had a substantial score after 100, which is something that we have not really seen in his Test career so far. And he also looked very, very comfortable at the crease. Looked very good. Unfortunate to get run out. So, and the he still needs that confidence, because last innings that he had, where he scored that 100, he was lucky initially, but in this innings he was very much in control. He had a control percentage of 90 plus. So for me, that was also a big positive, that okay, this guy is now getting runs under his belt because he needs it. Sarfaraz, just the way he came out, you could sense that he was pretty confident that okay, this is these are the kind of pitches I've played, you know for last 4 or 5 years or something, and I've dominated bowling attacks, so I'll be able to do the job anyway. Shasvi himself comes across as someone who's again very confident of his skills. But with Gill, you've been saying that okay, he's either up or down, and there's no middle path in between. So for him to get runs again solves a few headaches for both Rohit and Dravid going forward. So for me, that was actually a bit more important than the partnership that happened between Sarfaraz and Jaiswal.
Okay, important that. And lots of people agreeing with Gurkirat about Sarfaraz's debut because Mohammad saying Iyer had a great debut too. Fair point, Paji. And next, it makes you think about, of course, what's next. And we'll talk about that in the segment, which is just about to come up in terms of potential changes for Ranchi and whatnot. But again, India's batting today. Yup, they were in a commanding position and they just had to kind of drive it forward. But they did that with some style. It was almost laying down a statement for the rest of the series? Do you think it that way?
See, more than the statement, I think it was a very good way to confirm to themselves as well that it's not something that we can't do. And because in the first two games, that's what we, kind of accused them of doing. That you had moments where you could bat the opposition out of the game, but it did not happen. So I think in this game, again, it's why it just highlights the Jaiswal innings even more, because it was his 100 right at top that gave India that cushion that you have a 120 run lead, you could easily slip down 2 3 wickets, and then then you are thinking very very differently. But Jaiswal's innings ensured that you are 250 300 ahead, and then you are completely thinking about now let's consolidate and make it a very big one. So I think in terms of that, it ticked a lot of boxes for India, that we can bat deep, we can bat as per the requirement of the game. And then when we want to put pressure, which we saw today with Gill as well, when he came out today, he looked assured that okay, I am very sure of what I'm doing. That Kuldeep six, it's so pleasing to see that you want to see all of these small things being ticked off rightly, that we will show aggression, we can do that too. And then when Sarfaraz and Jaiswal were like, okay, let's have now it's a ball time, then it's like okay, everything done fed as good as it can get. And again, it's very exciting to see that whenever India have had these comebacks, it's been led by youngsters, and that is something that should please Rohit and Rahul so much, that you can talk about the BGT still as well, young guys coming through showing that hunger and coming good. It's always good for the future. So I think they'll take a lot of confidence that we can do this. I'm not too sure about statement and all of that. Let the game keep growing from your end, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really like the fact that he mentioned that Kuldeep six, Nikhil, because we all loved it. His first ever in international
Yeah.
cricket. He played over 100 ODIs for India, 35 T20 internationals for India, 10 tests, and he got that six and he loved it. He'll probably talk about it for a while. I just want to quickly put you all on the spot here because at that point in time, I knew it was the first six. Sanjay Manjikar also said at the commentary that he hit just one six as well in his life. His father didn't hit any single six in his life. So, who do you guys think is the one batter? You can give me any name here who's played the most amount of Test cricket but just has one Test six in his life. It's an obvious answer. I'm looking for three, the top three. All have hit one six in their life. and they played lots of games.
Is this a
Is
googly
Ashish
question?
Khera
Or
one?
just-
This is a pre-Googly segment. This is my Avnish Googly segment.
Okay, so I'll have one guess. Uh, I'll go for Rahul Dravid
By
as one of
Dravid
the
more
guess.
than one
Rahul?
sixes, bro.
That
He had
is
more than one
Nehra
You
is
six.
said
one.
it was very
Nehra?
common.
No,
Is Nehra an
Greg.
option?
No, Greg's right. McGrath actually
Hmm.
won 6 on top of the Pops, won 24 matches in terms of tests and just won 6. The second one is an Indian, and he's played under Virat, he's played under Dhoni, Pacer.
Agarkar?
No.
Agarkar did
Agarkar's
not
not played
play.
under
Bhuvneshwar.
Virat. No. Close. Even Bill Mumilelo saying Bhumesh Yadav. Agarkar, no, not Agarkar. It's McGrath. Greg got that right. And the second answer I
Okay.
was looking for is Ishant Sharma, 105 tests, just won 6, which is absolutely ridiculous. And Sanjay,
Yeah, but
you
when
got
did
it.
he hit that 6? I'm trying to recall.
I'm guessing,
Yeah,
I
same.
don't know. I'm guessing what Dhamika Prasad. I don't know. I don't know. You might.
Maybe when
I
he
was
had
there
that,
in the venue. I would have remembered, but I can't recall that.
maybe when he scored that 15 West Indies, might have come then.
Maybe. And Greg, yeah, you
So
got both the answers. But let's see how you guys fare in the CDC Googly segment, which will pop up just shortly. I was just doing that for fun and giggles.
Who's
Please
the
like
third
this
name?
video.
who's the
Third
third
name
guy?
is Bob Willis. You guys would have got that. Bob Willis. Good old Bob Willis. So that's the
No.
third name. And just to give you more perspective on Test cricket and sixes, now our great Virat Kohli, the king, in his 113 tests, he's hit 26 sixes. Jaiswal already has 25 sixes in his short test career. So honestly, props to Jaiswal. And I'm not taking the piss out of Virat, just to kind of give context to you guys with regards to that. Right. Anything else to add on the Indian batting, or do you think it was almost perfect, right? Gurkirat, in terms of declaration, we were all kind of discussing it in our internal WhatsApp group, saying what is the perfect amount of time. We all agreed upon that half an hour before tea, and India getting 2 wickets, one a run out, and the second LBW. We're talking about that initial part before tea, where those 2 wickets was crucial in their eventual downfall.
Yeah, like I said in the beginning, that this was probably the most economical period of opening spell for India with the ball, because so far I think in each and every innings, both Duckett and Crawley got to 15, really no time. So for India to be very accurate and not give away runs, more particularly Siraj, because we expect accuracy from Bumrah, was good to see. And like you also mentioned about the batting bit, this was probably a as complete performance as it could have been, because everyone chipped in, barring, you could say, Patidar. And I know that bloke will get some unnecessary criticism. Oh, he's not cut out for it, etc., etc. But I really hope that if he gets a chance in Ranchi, he gets a substantial score. And Jurel also, I thought he had a good innings. In the first innings, he looked solid, and there was some criticism of his keeping, because okay, he let a few buys, but you know, we have anyway moved past that era where you need specialist keepers. Fielding and keeping, I think they are important skills, but I don't think they are as important as batting or bowling. So the world is now moving towards batting keepers, or batter keepers rather than keeper batters. So he'll improve. Even Pant struggled initially, even MS struggled. So even if he struggled versus Kuldeep, and you know Kuldeep is a rare bowling type, left arm wrist spin. Any keeper will struggle initially. So I think he'll improve with time. That is not something people should really lose their sleep over. So a good performance, barring Patidar doing much, but I really hope that he gets at least a 50 in the next test whenever he plays, because else unfair judgments would be out very soon on him.
Yeah, and Rajat Patidar, you'll feel for him. Just 46 runs for him this entire series so far. He's got 2 bites of the cherry. Only time will tell if he gets a third bite of the cherry. Now, we'll speak about Jurel, because a lot of people are praising Dhruv Jurel, and rightly so. Remember, many people saying, again, this is an IPL pick, even though he has just one test, list A ton against, I think, Assam. It was a big one, 249. And then he's got into the scheme of things. But he's made it count, Nikhil. Today, of course, the run out will stand dear in many people's heads. But for me, about how he just kept to certain deliveries, one which went between Joe Root's legs. I think it was a rank long hop, and Jurel did brilliantly to get that. Then there was a few where I think he took down the leg side in the course of this test match. But does he now give you the conviction that even though he's just played one test, he straight away jumped over the others in the pecking order, second only to Pant when Pant's back in.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that probably in terms of how you felt about him being at the wicket. Maybe that is something. See, it's a call in terms of very subjective that some people feel very. We feel differently about different people at the crease. Some feel KS was a bit fidgety, or wasn't looking at his best, or not confident enough. There are people who said Patidar did not look as confident as say Sarfaraz, at the crease in terms of what he's trying to do and how he's shaping up. So with Jurel, as Paji rightly pointed out, those struggles will be there initially versus Rispin because he's a better batter versus pace, so he's able to pick them better. But versus spin, if he's going to struggle batting versus them, even while keeping, he'll have to do it a bit more so that he gets used to that, and that's a routine. So I think once that happens, I think you'd probably say that given that they've already made the call with him, they will probably should stick with him for enough number of time and then work on these parts. Whether he looks good or not, again, I feel too early to make a call in terms of here and there. But in terms of defense, so 100%, I think we all love those first 7, 8 proper defensive shots that he had because it just makes you feel assured that the person is not rushing into let me get off the mark, it's my debut and all of that. So that is also a good small thing to pinpoint if you want to. So I think for KS, I think he'll really rue that cut shot that lost him his wicket because I felt that was probably the best chance for him to really get a score, but that's past him. Hopefully Jurel can just keep getting better and get more chances.
Absolutely. He's been known as a DJ right now, the dressing room, not just the initials, but you can come up with all your various songs and your praises for Dhruv Jurel in the comments, of course. And lots of you lovely people watching from Instagram, which is always good to see. Shout out to all you lovely people watching right now on this Sunday evening. It is a historic day for India in many ways with this absolutely stunning win, 434-run win. And Jadeja is the man of the match in his hometown. We'll also ask you another little bit of trivia in just a bit. But just to recap, and to summarize what's happened out there in Rajkot, if you guys are just joining us, and you guys must have been probably having a nice Sunday brunch with your family and not expecting an end to this third test. But look, we'll reflect it for you all. And England, 122. Do not recheck the score on any of the app. We're spot on 122, which is, in fact, the lowest total under Baz McCullum's leadership as England coach. So this is the worst total in Bazball era, 122 in that second innings. So Mark Wood actually saving their bacon with regards to first getting in England past 100 and obviously not making it an even more stinging defeat. But Jadeja's 5 for 41 and then, of course, his 112 in the first innings along with Rohit's 131 gave Jadoo the man of the match performance. Speaking of Jadoo and how he was in this match, boys, of course, the second innings, we always knew he was going to play a part. And that over that he bowled to Pope and eventually getting the wicket of him was absolutely brilliant. I want to start with Gurkeerat here and Ravindra Jadeja because essentially we did miss him in the second test. But again, he's such a vital asset in this Indian test juggernaut.
Yeah, probably among the 3 or the 4 players who should start in the 11, even if you are going to play Test cricket on Mars. I mean, that's the kind of utility he brings because, see, when
How do you see such things like with a seriousness, bro? You don't laugh
As long
about it.
as long as there's no running there, I'm completely fine with that as well. Exactly.
No, I said it with the poker face, but it was supposed to be a joke only. But it's okay. So yeah, because see, we have seen that when he's not there, India really struggle to have that combination of 7 batters and 5 bowlers. We saw it in South Africa, and in Indian conditions, you can still get an Akshar Patel or a Washington Sundar in the 11 to at least have that balance on paper. But those performance to replicate those performances is also not as easy. You need a lot of skill, you need a lot of experience to do that. And as we have often seen with many all rounders, when one skill is picking up, right, the other starts going down. It has happened with Jadeja, but not in Test cricket. It has happened with him in white ball. In Test cricket, he's actually kept improving and gone strength to strength, in terms of both his bowling and in terms of his batting, to the extent that when the Indian team management has felt okay, we need to send someone to play out the new ball. They've even done that in places like England. And I know there was a lot of criticism in that 2021 tour of Jadeja, the bowler. But what was important to understand was that his usage was that of a bowler who should just bowl tight, so that the pacers can stay afresh. And I thought he did more than decently with the bat, and you really cannot blame him or fault him for that. So South Africa is one place where he hasn't played enough, but you look at other places wherever he's played, he's had more than decent and more than handy contributions. And yeah, his number speaks for himself. I mean, right now, easily easily amongst the greatest all-rounders in the test match format. And I think even when he calls it a day, he will have a very good case to go into the top five all rounders in Test cricket, without a doubt. This is not any exaggeration. You have to look at those numbers and you will say, yes, that he definitely has a case to be in that top five.
And I'll back Gurkirat up here with regards to Jadeja's numbers, because what he's done with his 112 in this test is cross the 3,000 run mark in test cricket, which is amazing. He's played 70 test matches for India and he's nearing 300 wickets. Remember that too, 287 wickets he's taken. And you marry those stats together and you're talking about an absolute legend of the game. And well done, Ravindra Jadeja, for doing what he did.
There's a very good chance that he will overtake Zahir Khan's tally of, or maybe even Ishant Sharma as well, their tally of wickets in Test cricket. And as a cricketer alone, that's a huge achievement. And when you add the batting front, it tells you how valuable he's been.
Yeah, absolute gold dust. And guys, again, want to put you all on the spot here because I'm thinking Rajkot being his hometown, he's got a bloody fifer and 100. And I'm thinking Ashwin did it in 2021 against the same opposition, right? Being the hometown hero with a fifer and 100. Can you think of any other instances in Test? Maybe Shakib, maybe Callis, maybe Sobers, any other all-rounders which come to mind, players? Fifer and 100 in Test in your home ground.
I think Ashwin has done it.
Yeah, Ashwin has.
Maybe
Yeah,
Stokes,
Ashwin,
has he done it? What's
I,
Stokes' home
I
ground
don't think
in
Stokes
England?
has played a test in Durham, in Chester Street.
and 5 wickets, I don't think it's taken
Yeah,
at home.
just they wouldn't have played test matches there. I'm just guessing, talking out loud. Uh, who else?
So I think Ashwin and Jadeja
Maybe
at least one each for them.
DDS. I'm not sure what his DDS's home ground is in Sri Lanka, but I think DDS at some point of time would have had 100 and a fifer in the same test.
Yeah, whenever in doubt, go for the Asian names, and you'd probably be right. I don't know if DDS has won it, but in respect, it says
Because
Shakib has
DDS
done it.
has been in test matches, DDS has been very consistent, and he's been like similar to what Jadeja has been for Sri Lanka, for India. Like especially in terms of bat, you feel like okay, Sri Lanka are on the verge of a collapse. From somewhere he'll manage a 40-50, and then the lower order will score some runs, and then with the ball he'll come and not if not exactly pick a fifer, he will contribute. So I'm just guessing out loud if DDS would have had this achievement.
We'll confirm that with our statsman at the end of the show, but that was just something for you guys to think about with regards to this review and more great stats literally hitting our ticker right now, such as most double tons before turning 23. Jaiswal already has 2 over there, and he's 2 more away from Dom Bradman's record, which is absolutely ridiculous. And not to forget, we put out a live poll as well, because what we love to do in these lives is get interactive with y'all. We asked y'all a question earlier in the comments of who did have the best debut. Dhruv Jurel, Sarfraz, or both. Let us know about that. But we also asked you about this poll. Is this the best test win under Rohit's captaincy? An overwhelming, unanimous 84% yes, saying our community, which is maybe a no-brainer over there, but maybe the other one can really think about it from a perspective that it is Dhruv Jurel or Sarfraz with regards to who's had a better test debut. I know Nick's trying to sort out his video before we move forward. Let's take some comments. And of course, you guys have been so good to keep firing your questions. Mohammad Sanjay, sports fan. And I think there's more good questions coming in from, who was it? Introspect Superhero Rises. We'll just take all your questions in the fag end of the show. What else is there to talk about, guys? I just want to talk about if Yorkshire is costing English cricket, because Jonny Bairstow and Joe Root, Nikhil, what's happening here? Because those two, so often we're looking at England's batting lineup and we're like, Root ko nikalu, Bairstow nikalu, and game's ours. but those two are not even performing. Is it something that England need to think about going into the last two tests?
Root, though I don't think so. But Johnny Baba, well, he was on a plane with AV, Sachin, and others. I'm just saying that he's devoted that, and I tweeted that as well. He's given
I'm not sure
given
if
the
many
bowling.
will get the context, but it's a good joke.
So he's deboarded the plane and given the boarding pass back to Mark Nicholas to give it to somebody else. And I can see you can have a bad run of form, but it also just highlights sometimes we all of us jump the gun in terms of uh, judging a player by the way how they look on a few set of games. But then what we sometimes miss is the type of decks, the type of attacks, and who you are facing and how you are doing it. So it's not that what he did then at home was not unbelievable, was not great. It was great, but you look at how he's batted in these games. You could say that anything could get him out. Jaiswal could bowl and get him out, and that's not disrespecting John. It's just that you haven't seen him look anywhere convincing of what he's trying to do. Be it the first innings where he got LBW to Kuldeep, and you could see the gap so much he hardly picked it. And even today, just sweeping straight, it's just very very straight. So, and I think Bairstow is also a confidence driven guy. So when you have times like this, maybe time off is the best way to go about it, because Ben Folks is definitely keeping 100% better. So there is no doubt about that whether they are going to miss the keeper. They could simply get in Will Jacks, Dan Lawrence, whoever they want to, give Johnny a break, and then see how they want to go about it. Because see, it's a challenge they'll have to take with options like these, because when they don't come off, they don't look good at. Now Duckett has got to score, Crawley's got to score, Pope has got to score, Stokes has got to score. The only two guys not having got them are Root and Jonny Bairstow. So with Root, I think it's also the injury. How much is it playing on his mind? Because that was also his bowling hand. And again, we had a comment as well about him bowling more overs than the runs that he scored. And I don't think we could have ever seen that ever happening, that Joe Root will bowl more a lot. And it will hurt England as well, because they've gotten good starts, but the middle order hasn't really stepped up. So I think with Root, you can't probably drop Root at this point of time because of what he adds to the side. Uh, I don't think you can demote him, but Johnny Baba, probably time for some break, and that's all that'll put him to. Just take a break.
Gurkirat, on the whole, if you look at it, it's not just Bairstow and Root, but cumulatively as a batting order, England have only passed 400 once the series in Hyderabad, 420, on the back of a magical 196 from Ollie Pope. Apart from that, not even crossed 300. Is it some sort of introspection which needs to be done by Brendan McCullum heading into Ranchi right now, chopping and changing, or do you think they'll stick and not twist?
I don't think they can drop Root because there is no replacement for him. For Bairstow, you can look at a replacement, and honestly, it's been disappointing just the way Root has batted and found ways to get out. Because coming into the series, you would have felt that okay, the biggest threat would be Root because he could keep the batting together. He could keep one end solid, one end being held up with others doing baseball. But it's
But
it's
why is
just
it?
been
Why do you think he hasn't done that, Cookie? That for a player of his ilk, and you look at even the theme of his dismissals, it gives you the impression that it's just brain fade after brain fade. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, so brain fade, I think you can call it for two dismissals. One which was versus Ashwin in the last test match and the first innings here. And we explained that, probably in the last test it was the injury that was playing on his mind. And in this test match, you felt that okay, he wanted to put Bumrah off because Bumrah was getting through to him defensively. And that is credit to Bumrah that Bumrah has had his number for some time now. Bumrah got him out even in England. So it's been a combination of factors. I think the fact that Bumrah's really gotten him out early has made sure that Indian spinners have not had to bear the brunt of Joe Root bringing out all his repertoire of shots, because we have seen what he can do, and these pitches, if Joe Root would have batted 50 odd balls, and I don't think he's batted 50 odd balls so far, he could really take toll of the bowling, because the way he's been batting in the last 2 3 years, he's just looked like someone who's sometimes playing stick cricket or playing on video games, and Indian bowlers would know that because of how he scored 300s against them in England. Then last time around as well, he was scoring runs. He scored runs in Sri Lanka. So I think it's been a combination of factors. Bumrah getting him out early, and I think that somewhere has played on his mind as well. That's probably dented his confidence to some extent. I don't think there's been anything that has technically not worked out for him, but it's just that and I I think England's last innings, this one also was down to them being mentally being dragged, because they had to bowl almost 100 overs in the second innings as well, and that did not happen. Which is why uh, in Test cricket there's this cliche of batting time, because when you bat time you will tire out the opposition, and it has its effects in many other ways. Now I'm not even sure that if Anderson will play the next Test match, because he's had to bowl some amount of overs in this test match, and the turnaround time is very less. So we'll eventually get to know. But that's why I said this has been a very good win for India, because it has made sure that the consequences of this win will also be felt in the next test match at some level.
Yeah.
So yep.
Just
Yeah,
to add on the just to add on the Joe Root bit, see, we've all seen a lot of him. I feel whenever I've seen or felt Root at his confident bet is when he gets off to very good starts. There are many times where you feel, "Arey, he's already on 25, and he just came in." So, and that is something that only happens with very, very few set of batters. Paji mentioned it, Bumrah getting to him, and then him not being entirely sure that how do I, because that is playing so much on his mind, and he's coming off a lack of runs. It's a lot to do with how Paji said in terms of playing those first 15-20 balls very confidently, getting himself in. I think he hasn't had that at all in this series, where he's looked very comfortable in terms of clipped here, dabbed here, single there. He's not got himself in any of those games. So very interested to see whether he completely shuts shop in the next few games, or does he say, okay, I'll bat myself, or boundary hit myself out of form, out of this run, because he's too good a batter. Again, this is something we've all said, to really keep wanting to play shots. So very interested to see how he comes up, because I think it's the start that is missing. Once he gets the start, he'll probably get on his usual role.
this little broadcast right now with Shankar's message, paying homage to the dear Basball, saying R.I.P.
Yes,
Basball. It lasted, and we all loved it while it lasted. You'll be remaining forever in our hearts. A little bit of chuckles, of course, and Indian fans would absolutely love this. I read a tweet somewhere that some Indian fans didn't want to declare. They were like, they should be served a lesson on these boilers. And Gurkha, you mentioned a very good point as well. We talk about sports science in 2024 and generally how athletes are fit. But if you're in the field for so long, bowling so many amount of overs, in conditions you're not grown up in, it's going to take a toll somewhere, somehow, whether it's an injury, whether it's making you play a false shot, whether it's a little bit of indecision between running between the wickets. We saw that between Ben Duckett and Zach Crawley as well. So look, it's not been a day for England fans, and it's been an absolute day for Team India, and rightly so. And you can see the little ticker over there. India's biggest win in terms of runs was this one today. The previous one was against New Zealand in Wankhede, where Ajaz Patel took 10 for, but we still dominated them on that day. So it just tells you how good that day was. But even today, it's just nuts. I hope you're lying about this, Shubham Gupta, because this can't be true. Legends go out on a high. He can't go out as a had stuff for sure. And it's also funny how all of you guys forget to hit like. India won by 434 runs. Can we have 434 likes? I know it's wishful thinking, but look, I've said it. 434 likes is what we're targeting. And before I forget, yes, today is the day, not just India winning, but cricket.com winning in terms of a yet another brand new series unveiled. It's an absolute must watch for all you lovers, especially of RCB cricket out there, because I've managed to get hold of Mike Hesson and ask him everything, including how he was held at gunpoint in Kenya and Argentina. Spoke about him, about Siraj, Chahel. Gurkirat also wants to chip in. He's getting cited before the show's
No,
gone on.
I just have one question. Did you ask him that, about shooting those mock auction videos? Did they actually shoot them before the auctions, or did they shoot it as a cover up after the auctions?
He's told me a lot about the auctions, and I just want to give you guys a little bit of nuggets right now. He's told us that Tilak Varma was one of the guys that RCB were really going for, and it's one of his biggest regrets sitting in an auction table. He also said that when the auctioneer Hugh Edmeades kind of passed out that evening, he was actually making eye contact with him. So it was really kind of stressful from Mike's perspective as well. Lots more of that and much more random chats. I've asked him about what his favorite drink is. We've asked him who's the biggest boozer in RCB's dressing room. So, like, not just cricket questions, but stuff like that you guys want to know. Unwind is going to be that property. So trust me when I say it. It's a fantastic watch. 8 p.m. It premieres today. And what do you guys have to do today apart from anything else? You can watch the highlights of India-England, and you can check out our content on cricket.com, and then maybe the United game later at Luton if you guys are United fans. Time to take your questions indeed, but not before the two segments. Of course, the first one is the cricket.com Googly. Right, let's see what we have today in terms of Googlies, because you guys are a bunch of smart asses in the comments. I love it, absolutely love it. This is what we have today, because India in this series have hit 48 sixes, the most by any team. We want to know which team held the record prior to India after they showed it today again. Remember, yesterday's Googly, we asked you about the English opener, because Ben Duckett got to 150, and the correct answer we were looking for was not Alistair Cook, to all you guys, but it was Graham Fowler. I think Introspect got that right in the live chat, but we're looking for comments after the show indeed. Right, so let's put that Googly depiction that we're asking you right now. And next, Gurkirat, you guys want to have your say with regards to who this could be, which team is it, when did it happen? Gurki, that's already thinking.
48 sixes would. Yeah. See, it's in a 3-match series or in a 5-match, or like, is there a limit on the matches, like, or is there a filter on that?
I think minimum 3-match series.
In 3-match series, it's a tough one to call. I think could be Australia also. I mean, because when
No,
Australia
who's
dominated
most
series at.
likely to hit so many sixes?
Sorry?
Who's most likely to hit so many sixes in a test?
Yeah, because Australia, whenever they've dominated series at home, in the decade, in that 2000 to 2010 decade, they would rarely hit a lot of sixes. So there is that. And then not sure if England hit that many in the Ashes last time. So not sure,
Yeah.
really.
Okay, lots of
Even
you
the
guys
Pakistan
having.
series, not too much.
Yeah.
I
Unlikely.
can
They were
tell.
hitting
I
fours
can tell a
lot
lot.
of
I
sixes.
can tell you that a lot of people have got it right, and a lot of people have got it wrong in the comments. So keep guessing, and we'll of course confirm the answers in the Ranchi. Yes, day one of that. Because I was going to say day 5, but there's no day 5. I mean, we were talking about how this series will be a 15-day affair. It's already a 12-day affair with 2 more tests to go, which is what we're looking for indeed. Prime baseball series, England versus Pakistan, no. England versus Pakistan. In fact, I'll just give the answers out now, right? Because I'm not going to wait for Ranchi. It is India themselves against South Africa in that 2019. I think Rohit started opening for India in Test match cricket that series. So it was that one themselves. So India holding the record with regards to the CDC Googly today. Right, we always look ahead before we let you go, and it's been slightly an elongated one, but understandably so after a mammoth win that India registered. And let's look ahead in what's next to the 4th test. Right, 3 down and 2 to play, and India lead this series 2-1. Now England need to play out of their skins to again do an encore of 2012 and win back-to-back tests, which is unthinkable at the moment, but many people reckoning a 3-1 or a 4-1 scoreline, a familiar scoreline towards India. Now, the 4th test, if you guys need reminding, starts on the 23rd of Feb, which is not that far away. It's about, 4 days from right now, so they'll get 1 day of rest, and I'm pretty sure the England team will be sulking on the golf course somewhere. But what's next, guys? Let's start with India, because even though they've dismantled England, like I keep saying in this review, how many changes? Are there going to be any? Are there going to be forced changes? Talk to me. Gurkirat first and then next.
Would depend on KL's fitness. I think if KL is fit, he would come back. But if he's not, and I hope the management doesn't rush him. And I think they will not, because they know how valuable he is to them across formats. I know, people will say that okay, he's not playing T20, so it's only the other format. But with players like KL who are always ready to do whatever you ask them to, you can never rule out that he can be out of any format. So
If
there is
KL
that.
is fit, sorry, if KL is fit, would you just put him in place of Patidar? As sad as it sounds.
Yeah, that's the obvious replacement. I think there is no other obvious replacement. And also, I feel somewhat Patidar is also hard done by with the fact that he's had to bat at a difficult position of number four. It's not an easy position to start, especially when you're making your debut. So there is that. Um I Apart from that, I don't see any other changes. I mean, I know there is about Bumrah's workload in it, but Bumrah hasn't bowled a lot in this test match. The spinners did most of the job. So if he feels okay, I think they'll play him. Maybe if India win that test match and they feel okay that now we can manage without him, or if Ashwin takes because Ashwin's yet to take a fifer. Ashwin's bowled well. He bowled well in the second innings in Vizag, but in this innings he hardly bowled, and he started off well, I thought, in the first inning. So maybe if they get enough confidence from the spinners that okay, even in the absence of Bumrah, they can come in and deliver. Maybe then they'll think of resting him. So I still think he will play in Ranchi. In Dharamshala, maybe it can change. And uh, Dharamshala, a lot will also depend on the pitch, because what we think is that okay, you go to Dharamshala, it will be a pitch that will aid the pacers, but it did not happen in the World Cup. Also, the pitch was slightly on the slower side, so can't even have that conception that okay, India will definitely play three pacers. And also at this point of time, playing three pacers, I'm not even sure if it will help India, because uh, Mukesh, we don't know if he's in the squad right now because he was released, and with Shami being injured, Umesh Yadav also not is being ignored. So yeah, I think three spinners India will stick with it, but Bumrah would difficult to say. I mean, depend a lot on how the fourth test goes.
Now, one of the conspiracy theories is that Tala, our famous Tala, will be rolling his tractor on the pitch to enable the Indian team management to rest Bumrah in his beloved Ranchi. I'm just joking, of course, just taking this introspect comment if you guys are listening to me. And Sanjay going on to say, if KL isn't fit, would you play Padikkal or Patidar? I would persist with Patidar as Padikkal is
What
in
is
a lot of batter. I agree with you. Let's not, of course, upset the apple cart. And what happens to Patidar when he's done well in IPL and domestic? What happened in mental thing? We'll answer that and all the random miscellaneous questions that we'll give to Nixon Gurkira just after this. But next, talk to me about your team changes right now, because anyone who does miss out in the next test, Ranchi, basically gets a 20-day break before the Dharamsala test match. I mean, 18 days, 19 days, whatever you want to term it as. So do you think there will be two changes? KL coming in, Patidar going out, unfortunately, and then the whole Bumrah being rested? Because right now, 81 overs in the series so far.
I think a lot will really depend on the fitness, as Padi said. So unless they're very sure, with KL being very very fit, so he'll play. And same in the case with Bumrah. I think Bumrah they can possibly rest him after the Ranchi game. If they win that, then they'll feel that let's just give him that rest, because then we are 3-1 ahead, and then you will back them. They'll back themselves. Okay, let's get the job done that way as well. So maybe that is the best way out at this point of time, because otherwise, as Padi said, I'll if they are not fit, KL is not fit, I'll play Patidar, and the same team plays in the next one. Oh, nice. Nice. Minor, but
It's
nice.
Yeah, I mean, slightly a mess up from me there. But look, jokes apart, let's see how that really unravels for India, and whether there are more changes, whether there's zero changes, and whether they just play with the same team. Only time will tell. But about England, then, Gurkira, just to touch upon them, because I know they like to announce they're playing 11 and all of that, and they will have a few head scratching to do. What are you envisaging from them? Potentially Ollie Robinson getting the nod, right? He's not played a single test this series, so I'm guessing he'll come in. Do you think Bashir will come back in as well?
I thought that they made a mistake of going in with just one pacer in the earlier two test matches as well, because their spinners don't have enough control. I know they back Rehan Ahmed a lot, but I think he's still too raw for test cricket. And now it may not be possible, but I think their best chance is definitely playing three pacers, which is Anderson, Robinson, and Markwood. I don't know why they're sticking with playing three spinners theory, because uh, you've also seen the usage, and you can see with the usage as well that they don't trust Rehan Ahmed to provide any sort of control. If they need control or if they need someone to tie down a batter, they'll go. uh, they go to Root or they go to Hartley. So, but again, a lot depends upon how they want to manage Anderson. If they think that Anderson can play another test match, I mean, I'm confident that if the next test match was in Dharamshala and not in Ranchi, they would have gone with the perception of a pitch helping pacers and they would have played all three. But now I think it seems difficult. So yeah, I'd ideally want them to play three paces, but I don't see that happening. And yeah, Bairstow could go out
And who for
because
Lawrence?
could go out for Lawrence, could go out for Will Jacks. I mean, depends on who they want to back, and it's a break that I think should also help him. Probably it could be a case of Bairstow also being tired because both Bairstow and Root have been playing a lot of cricket as well. They were here for the World Cup, So I think in between, did they have any break or no? I'm not sure,
Didn't
but
play much before that. So, but any which ways, मतलब, ठीक है, the
yeah,
break will
I mean
always help you.
forms also not been because they cannot drop Root for sure. But Bairstow is someone who they can drop and they can maybe look at giving Dan Lawrence or Will Jacks, whosoever they're comfortable with, a chance and see how they go. With Will Jacks, they will get another bowling option if they want to take one. So that's up to them.
Yeah, imagine Will Jacks getting the nod from Rawalpindi to Ranchi in terms of his test career over there. And Gus Atkinson could be maybe first raw pace, but I fancy him playing Dhamshala more than Ranchi. And Greg saying England spinners are burnt out, they cannot pick up 20 wickets unless the pitch helps. Remember, you have to take the experience into factor as well. They've lost Jack
More
Leach.
than the pitch, I'll say unless the Indian batters help.
Hmm.
I'm not taking the piss out or anything, but that's genuinely I know there was a stat doing the rounds after the last test match that they've averaged better than the Indian spinners, but it's been mostly a case of Indian batters gifting their wickets away rather than England spinners genuinely getting Indian batters out on defense. It's not happened a lot.
Yeah, and it's a good point that you mentioned there because Nikhil, if you actually think about it, prior to the series, everyone was thinking, oh, rank turners बनाएंगे, BCCI, they're going to just, make it a lottery sort of wicket that England will also come into the game. But they actually have done really well in terms of not just the curators getting it right, traditional Indian pitches, which has allowed our batters to get in and, getting our spinners into the game because they're essentially better. But Ranchi will probably be the most spin friendly wicket this series because I don't envisage Dharamshala being one. So, Ranchi, do you think we can actually see turn from day one, ball one?
Yeah, I don't mind that. And again, as you said, you rightly mentioned about the good points, and that is what is helping the side better in terms of giving the batters the confidence. And then when you are being made to work hard for the wickets as well, you are in a much better space in terms of knowing what are your other options if things don't work. So I do not mind a rank turner. It will probably be a good test to see how England go about it as well, because you can talk a lot about wanting to score big, but you haven't so far. So how you do it when you get a chance on a rank turn or when things where the risk is high, but the reward will be high, but the risk is already playing on your mind that how hard should we go. So very interested to see how that works out. And I don't mind a spinner, spin heavy. Then you can rush Bumrah also. If you see it's a rank turner and you want to rush Bumrah, you can do that, or you can play a single pacer. So let's see. Far too early to actually make a call because black soul wicket is what you expect there. But a lot of things happen between test matches now. So let's wait on that.
I'll tell you what, the 23rd of Feb is going to be a very interesting day because we're going to have the answers in terms of what pitch is going to be dished out in Ranchi. We're also going to be not have to wait anymore for the most awaited women's tournament. The WPL starts on the 23rd. We're going to be back in terms of doing all the watch alongs and the fun content there. So that day, keep a watch out for cricket.com because we'll have not one offering but two. The review with the boys here, and then of course the watch alongs with the girls as well, which starts at 7:30. Time to just get some questions before we wrap up proceedings. I know this has been the longest review of this test so far, but you guys will have to agree with us. Gurkirat, Nikhil, just try to take as many, but keep it short. I'll try to give you as many as we can, some good ones as well. Now, Pranavanan asking, and Gurkirat, you can take this one. Is it fair to say England's talk of we'll go for anything they said since the first test was a bit of fluff? when the time came, they instead moved away from what's worked for them, or was it because India were accurate?
See, a lot of things that have happened post McCullum taking over is, especially in terms of statements, have been a lot of fluff. You actually feel that maybe the entire team is buying into that mindset to a fault. That, I mean, what this is still not even the most outrageous statement that has come out of the entire thing. I mean, I remember Robinson writing an article after going two down in Ashes, saying that, oh, we feel like that we are leading 2-0 or something like that. And I thought that is genuinely amongst the stupidest things that have come out of a professional cricketer's mouth, because when you play professional cricket, you also have to acknowledge that your opposition has been better. They've been better at crunch moments. Yes, you want to talk about, you feel conviction and confidence in your game, fair enough, but it should not make you obnoxious enough to a fault that you don't even recognize that your opponents are playing better than you. So yes, there has been a bit of fluff. Not bit, actually, there's been a lot of fluff. It's just that because results have gone in their favor, those fluffs have not been criticized as much. We saw Joe Root getting out to that reverse lap, and how the entire English media was criticizing him. But till the time those shots were coming off, everyone was like, oh, this is revolutionary to test cricket and how this will change everything. So a lot of judgment analysis is reactionary in nature, can't help it. And I think it was not just about them moving away from it. It was India being accurate, not giving them a lot of options. And I also think that they were just tired. You could see in a lot of their maybe body language, if you want to call it. And then again, like we discussed in that collapse, this is something that will happen with baseball a lot. Sometimes there will be such reversion that the first risk or the first shot that you play, it will not work. And today, so many English batters just wanted to sweep, and I think four of them got out playing the sweep, or and got out LBW. So it was just a combination of all factors. I wouldn't really say that they moved away from what's worked for them, because it was not as if they were trying to defend a lot. They still wanted to play their shot. So maybe when they try to defend a lot, and don't succeed, maybe then is when we can say, okay, they've moved away from their template.
Absolutely, and it makes you think about all the things that they've said in the past. I remember when they went down 2-0 to Australia in the Ashes, McCullum said, that's perfect for us because we want to win the series 3-2. And it's all good to walk the talk, and they nearly did in the Ashes. So if they can pull something out of the fire here in this Indian tour, it'll be absolutely sublime. Let's move on with another couple of questions right now, and keep your questions coming through because I know we're over time, but Nikhil and Gurkirat are doing their best to give you all everything that you guys want them to answer. Random questions like this as well, Nick. Can you just have a word for Rohit Sharma in a way?
I think we did discuss, right? This was probably the best possible win that they could have got for Rohit and Rahul in terms of tactics, in terms of confidence as well, that what they would gain out of this. So, and again, see, the point here is haters is, I said a while back as well, you have to be very sure with your expectations. You need to know what teams are trying to figure out with baseball and how it will work and how it may not work at times. The only problem was getting the right people on at the right time. They did that and they've come good. So hopefully more of this in the coming times.
Okay. One about
And
KL Rahul.
haters will come back after one bad day of cricket.
One bad session of cricket, let alone anything else. Now, one of the haters that we miss in office is Somesh, and he's not with us because he's, of course, gone to greener pastures. And if you guys know, you know. But he keeps saying that KL is a panoti. Do you guys agree with Hayes and Som, or do you think it's honestly a coincidence, guys?
I have never believed in any of this. Jinxing, Panoti. I've not been someone who's ever bought into any kind of pseudoscientific stuff. So for me, no, this doesn't make any sense. So I only believe that there is sometimes luck, which you cannot control, and it could be good luck, it could be bad luck, but that's about it. But someone being a Panoti, etc., it's something that I've never bought into.
Okay. Let's see if the management buys into this. If Rajat Patia is getting a back spasm soon, I think they'll probably use the stomach bug, or maybe he's just got a little
Yeah,
sickness in the morning of the test.
I don't know about Patidar, but if the show goes longer more, I might get one. it's been, it's been
Okay, yeah,
one
I know.
month.
I can tell. I can tell. All right, look, guys, thank you so much for your time because I understand you guys will keep going on and on and on. And thoughts on the pitches in the series, only time will tell. You guys ask all of this, Sanjay, to Nix, me, and
So far,
Akshay in
so
the
good.
Monday Night Live. And Gurkirat will give his little opinion now. But so far, so good, like he just said. And any plans to cover PSL? Well, no, not so far. And I know Babar is smashing it with Sam Ayub, I think it was, for Peshawar Zalmi. So go watch that if you guys are interested in that. Or go read this particular article from Anirudh Suresh. She's put out many match stories. This is the one that reflects on the website most pertinently to me because knackered Anderson feels the effect of Bazball and Jaiswal. And remember, Anderson didn't send out a bad over throughout the series, but Jaiswal made him pay today. That's all we have time for. We've gone way overboard, and that's what we like to do. Give you a little extra on this weekend. And speaking of the weekend, like I said, 8 p.m. is a fantastic show. Catch us then. Until the next time, so goodbye from Gurkirat, Nikhil, and me. India winning 2-1, and only time will tell if they can make it 3 or 4 in this series. Cheers. We'll catch you soon.
Cheers.
Damn, that was a long show, man. That was a long show.